A map of the area where the caves were found with scrolls in them, several of them in that cliff line. About halfway up, the caves were quite small in size. There's no reason to think that they should have been discovered. Really quite small in size. I think the story, I don't know if you've heard the story about the shepherd throwing the rock and hearing the jar break, and don't believe it. Any more than you believe a shopkeeper in the old city, right? It's a cover story. They were robbing antiquities. Oh, my sheep did it. It's not my fault, right? Anyway, caves up there. One cave here, we don't know which one even, but it's not the big one. One cave up in this cliff line, and others are at the end of these two lines of softer marl, halfway down. I'll show you the famous one, Cave 4, in just a bit. So you have that map. You've got a map of the site. On your next page, it's actually a 4 sequence of the site. The site actually begins as an Iron Age fort. That part we'll skip. It has 2 phases as being the site of the Dead Sea Scrolls. The reason it has 2 phases and not one is because it was destroyed by an earthquake in the year 31, BC 31, a really bad one. And it took a while to get the site going again. And then the 4th phase is the Roman army camp, where the Roman army stationed itself before it marched on Masada. So it's basically, though, this Qumran site connected with the Dead Sea Scrolls. And the last page is the textual data page that talks about the kind of scrolls that were found here, how many pieces of different books of the Bible were found here, Old Testament. New Testament's not written yet, but Old Testament and so on. So some of the technical data is shown here. The most frequently found books on site, Psalms, Deuteronomy, and Isaiah. The most frequently quoted Old Testament books in the New Testament, Psalms, Deuteronomy, and Isaiah, in that order here. Those 3 books carry a lot of messianic fervor and information. And we've got many communities drawing on those stories, those statements, and trying to make them relevant to the day. And the community that was here was doing it in one way. John the Baptist was doing it in ways somewhat similar but somewhat different. Jesus is more different than the same, but he too recognizes the value of these books in the Old Testament. Just like Masada, there's water here. Well, not just like. Like Masada, there's water here, but in a different form. Well, the water's the same, but different kinds of collection of tanks. That's what I meant to say. Do you see to the right of the path, there's 2 lines of stone coming down? 2 narrow lines of stone. It goes underneath this bridge, and it ends up right here, and then underneath the walkway, right here. This is collecting water as an aqueduct from the wadi when it rains up above. That part there waterfalls a bit. You want to collect as much water as you can. You bring it here, and it goes all the way through the site in an aqueduct on the ground, spilling into a number of different openings on the way. Some of them are cisterns to drink out of. Some of them are Jewish ritual immersion baths to be immersed in. The people here were hyper kosher about religious purity. You know, ways that a priest didn't think that he could be impure in Jerusalem, you can be impure here. You know, they hypersized it. So a number of these ritual immersion baths, and the texts verify that. Yeah, they talk about it. Let me track that a little bit. Want to take you just left of where those people are standing, show you the room where the scrolls were copied, say just something about the content that bridges over to the New Testament at that point. There may be shade along one wall.